John of Gaunt, time-honoured Lancaster, hast thou, according to thy oath and band, brought hither Henry Hereford, thy bold son, here to make good the boisterous late appeal which then our leisure would not let us hear against the Duke of Norfolk, Thomas Mowbray?
I have, my liege.
Tell me, moreover, hast thou sounded him if he appeal the Duke on ancient malice, or worthily, as a good subject should, on some known grounds of treachery in him?
As near as I could sift him on that argument, on some apparent danger seen in him aimed at your highness, no inveterate malice.
Then call them to our presence, face to face and frowning brow to brow. Ourself will hear the accuser and the accused. Freely speak. Heh!
Days before my gracious sovereign, my most loving liege.
Each day still better, others' happiness, until the heavens, envying earth's good act, add an immortal title to your crown.
We thank you both, yet one of you but flatters us, as well appeareth from the cause you come, namely to appeal each other of high treason, cousin of Hereford. What dost thou object against the Duke of Norfolk, Thomas Mowbray?
First, heaven be the record to my speech. In the devotion of a subject's love come I, appellant to this princely presence. Now, Thomas Mowbray, do I turn to thee, and mark my greeting well. For what I speak, my body shall make good upon this earth, or my divine soul answer it in heaven. Thou art a traitor, and a miscreant, too good to be so, and too bad to live. Once more, the more to aggravate the note, with a foul traitor's name stuff I thy throat, and wish, so please my sovereign, ere I move, what my tongue speaks, my right drawn sword may prove.
Let not my cold words here accuse my zeal. 'Tis not the trial of a woman's war. The bitter clamour of two eager tongues can arbitrate that cause betwixt us twain. The blood is hot, and must be cooled for this. I do defy him, and I spit at him, call him a slanderous coward and a villain. By all my hopes, most falsely doth he lie.
Pale, trembling coward, there I throw my gage. If guilty dread have left thee so much strength as to take up my honour's pawn, then stoop. By that and all the rights of knighthood else will I make good against thee, arm to arm, what I have spoke, or thou canst worse devise.
I take it up, and by that sword I swear, which gently lets knighthood on my shoulder, I'll answer thee in any fair degree, or chivalrous design of knightly trial, and when I mount alive, may I not light, if I be traitor or unjustly fight.
But as our cousin lay to Mowbray's charges, it must be great that can inherit us so much of the thought of ill in him.
Mowbray hath received 8,000 gold nobles in name of lendings for your highness soldiers, the which he hath detained for lewd employments, like a false traitor and injurious villain. Besides, I say, and will in battle prove, that all the treasons for these 18 years, complotted and contrived in this land, fetch from false Mowbray their first head and spring. Further I say, and further will maintain, upon his bad life to make all this good, that he did plot the Duke of Gloucester's death, sluiced out his innocent soul through streams of blood, which blood, like sacrificing Abel's, cries to me for justice and rough chastisement. And by the glorious worth of my descent, this arm shall do it, or this life be spent.
How high a pitch his resolution soars! Thomas of Norfolk, what sayst thou to this?
And Bolingbroke, as low as to thy heart, through the false passage of thy throat, Thou lie. 3 parts of that receipt had I for Calais. Dispersed I duly to his highness soldiers. The other part reserved I by consent, in that my sovereign liege was in my debt, upon remainder of a dear account, since last I went to France to fetch his queen. Now swallow down that lie. For Gloucester's dead, I slew him not, but to my own disgrace neglected my sworn duty in that case, and I interchangeably held down my gaze upon this overweening traitor's foot to prove myself a loyal gentleman in haste, whereof most heartily I pray your highness to assign our trial day.
Rough, kindle, gentleman. Be ruled by me, let's purge this collar without letting blood. Forget, forgive, conclude, and be agreed. Our doctors say this is no month to bleed. Good uncle. Let this end where it begun. Will come the Duke of Norfolk, you, your son.
To be a makepeace shall become my age. Throw down, my son, the Duke of Norfolk's gage.
And Norfolk, throw down his.
When, Harry, when? Obedience bids I should not bid again.
Norfolk! Throw down, we bid. There is no boot.
Myself I throw, dread sovereign, at thy foot. My life thou shalt command, but not my shame. I am disgraced, impeached, and baffled here, pierced to the soul with slander's venom spear, the which no balm can cure, but his heart blood that breathed this poison.
Rage must be withstood. Give me his gauge. Lions make leopards tame.
Yea, but not change their spots.
Hey.
Take but my shame, and I will resign my gage. My dear, dear lord, the purest treasure mortal times afford is spotless reputation. That away, men are but gilded loam or painted clay. My honour is my life, both grow in one. Take honour from me, and my life is done. And dear my liege, my honour let me try. In that I live, and for that will I die.
Cousin, throw up your gauge. Do you begin?
Oh, God, defend my soul from such deep sin. Shall I seem crestfallen in my father's sight? Or with pale beggar fear impeach my height before this outdared dastard? Ere my tongue shall wound mine honour with such feeble wrong, or sound so base a parle, my teeth shall tear the slavish motive of recanting fear, and spit it, bleeding, in his high disgrace, where shame doth harbour, even in Mowbray's face.
We were not born to sue, but to command. Which since we cannot do to make you friends, be ready as your lives shall answer it. At Coventry upon St. Lambert's Day, there shall your swords and lances arbitrate the swelling difference of your settled hate. Since we cannot atone you, we shall see justice design the victor's chivalry. Noble York, command our officers at arms, be ready to direct these home alarms. Heh!
Doth more solicit me than your exclaims to stir against the butchers of his life. But since correction lieth in those hands which made the fault, that we cannot correct, put we our quarrel to the will of heaven, who when they see the hours ripe on earth, will rain hot vengeance on offenders' heads.
Finds brotherhood in thee no sharper spur, and love in thy old blood no living fire. Edward's 7 sons were of thyself art one, whereas 7 vials of his sacred blood. Some of those 7 are dried by nature's course, some of those branches by the destinies cut. But Thomas, my dear lord, my life, my Gloucester, one vialful of Edward's sacred blood, one flourishing branch of his most royal root is cracked, and all the precious liquor spilt is hacked down, and his summer leaves all faded by envy's hand and murder's bloody axe. Oh, Gaunt, his blood was thine. That bed, that womb, that metal, that soul mold that fashioned thee made him a man. And though thou liv'st and breathest, yet art thou slain in him. Call it not patience, Gaunt. It is despair. In suffering thus thy brother to be slaughtered, thou show'st the naked pathway to thy life, teaching stern murder how to butcher thee. Oh, what shall I say? To safeguard thine own life, the best way is to venge my Gloucester's death.
God's is the quarrel. For God substitute his deputy, anointed in his sight, hath caused his death, the which if wrongfully, let heaven revenge. For I may never lift an angry arm against his minister.
Well then, alas, may I complain myself
To God, the widow's champion and defence.
Why then I will. Farewell, old Gaunt. Thou goest to Coventry, there to behold our cousin Hereford and fell Mowbray fight. Oh, sit my husband's wrongs on Hereford's spear, that it may enter butcher Mowbray's breast. Farewell, old Gaunt. Thy sometimes brother's wife, with her companion grief, must end her life.
Sister, farewell. I must to Coventry. As much good stay with thee as go with me.
Yet one word more. Grief boundeth where it falls, not with the empty hollowness, but wait. I take my leave before I have begun, for sorrow ends not when it seemeth done. Commend me to thy brother, Edmund York, though this is all. Nay, yet depart not so. Though this be all, do not so quickly go. I shall remember more. Bid him with all good speed at Pleshy visit me. Alack, and what shall good old York there see? But empty lodgings and unfurnished walls, unpeopled offices, untrodden stones, and what here therefore welcome but my groans? Therefore commend me. Let him not come there to seek out sorrow that dwells everywhere. Desolate, desolate will I hence and die. The last leave of thee takes my weeping eye.
My son O'Merle is Harry of Hereford armed.
Yea, good father, and longs to enter in.
The Duke of Norfolk, sprightfully and bold, stays but the summons of the appellant's trumpet.
Why then the champions are prepared, and stay for nothing but his majesty's approach.
Uncle!
In God's name and the King's, say who thou art, and why thou comest thus knightly clad in arms, as so defend thee heaven and thy valour.
My name is Thomas Mowbray, Duke of Norfolk, who hither come engaged by my oath, both to defend my loyalty and truth against the Duke of Hereford that appeals me. And as I truly fight, so defend me heaven.
What is thy name, and wherefore comest thou hither before King Richard in his royal lists?
Harry of Hereford, Lancaster and Derby am I, who ready here do stand in arms to prove by God's grace and my body's valour in lists on Thomas Mowbray, Duke of Norfolk, that he is a traitor, foul and dangerous to God of heaven, King Richard, and to me. And as I truly fight, defend me heaven. My lord, let me kiss my sovereign's hand and bow my knee before his majesty.
We will descend and fold him in our arms. Farewell, my blood, which if today thou shed, lament we may, but not revenge thee dead.
Oh, let no noble eye profane a tear for me if I be gored with Mowbray's spear. My loving lord, I take my leave of you, my noble cousin, Lord O'Merle. Lo, as at English feast, so I regreet the daintiest last to make the end most sweet. O thou, the earthly author of my blood, to reach at victory above my head, add proof unto mine armour with thy prayers, and furbish new the name of John o' Gaunt, even in the lusty haviour of his son.
God in thy good cause make thee prosperous. Be swift like lightning in the execution, and let thy blows, doubly redoubling, fall like amazing thunder on the casque of thy adverse, pernicious enemy. Rouse up thy youthful blood. Be valiant and live.
My innocence and St. George to thrive.
Most mighty liege, and my companion peers, take from my mouth the wish of happy years. As gentle and as jocund as to jest go I to fight. Truth hath a quiet breast.
Farewell, my lord. Securely I espy virtue with valour couched in thine eye. Order the trial, uncle, and begin.
Harry of Hereford, Lancaster and Derby, receive thy lance, and God defend the right.
Strong as a tower in hope I cry, Amen.
Here standeth Thomas Mowbray, Duke of Norfolk, attending but the signal to begin. Sound trumpets, and set forward combatants.
For that our kingdom's earth should not be soiled with that dear blood which it hath fostered, and for our eyes do hate the dire aspect of civil wounds ploughed up with neighbours' swords, which so roused up with wrathful iron arms might from our quiet confines fright fair peace, and make us wade even in our kindred's blood. Therefore, we banish you our territories. Draw near. Lay on our sceptre here your banished hands. You, cousin of Hereford, upon pain of life, till twice 5 summers have enriched our fields, shall not regreet our fair dominions, but tread the stranger paths of banishment.
Your will be done. This must my comfort be. That sun that warms you here shall shine on me, and those his golden beams to you here lent shall point on me and gild my banishment.
Norfolk, for thee remains a heavier doom which I with some unwillingness pronounce. The sly, slow hours shall not determinate the dateless limit of thy dear exile. The hopeless word of never to return breathe I against thee upon pain of life.
A heavy sentence, my most sovereign liege, and all unlooked for at your highness' hands. A dearer merit, not so deep a main as to be cast forth in the common air, had I deserve it at your highness' hands. The language I have learnt these 40 years, my native English, I must now forego. And now my tongue's use is to me no more than an unstringed viol or a harp. I am too old to fawn upon a nurse, too far in years to be a pupil now. What is thy sentence then, but speechless death that robs my tongue of speaking native breath?
It boots thee not to be compassionate. After our sentence, plaining comes too late.
Then thus I take thee from my country's light to dwell in solemn shades of endless night.
Uncle, even in the glasses of thine eyes I see thy grieved heart. Thy sad aspect hath from the number of his banished years plucked 4 away. 6 frozen winters spent, return with welcome home from banishment.
How long a time lies in one little word. 4 lagging winters and 4 wanton springs end in a word. Such is the breath of kings.
I thank my liege that in regard of me he shortens 4 years of my son's exile, but little vantage shall I reap thereby. For ere the 6 years as he hath to spend shall change their moons and bring their times about, my oil-dried lamp and time-bewasted light shall be extinct with age and endless night. My inch of taper will be burnt and done, and blindfold death not let me see my son.
Why, uncle, thou hast many years to live.
But not a minute, king, that thou canst give. Follow my days thou can with sorrow, and pluck nights from me, but not lend a morrow. Thou canst help time to follow me with age, but stop no wrinkle in his pilgrimage. Thy word is current with him for my death, but dead, thy kingdom cannot buy my breath.
Thy son is banished upon good advice, whereto thy tongue a party verdict gave. Why at our justice seem'st thou then to lour?
Things sweet to taste prove in digestion sour. You urged me as a judge, but I would rather you had bid me argue like a father. Oh, had it been some stranger, not my child, To smooth his fault, I should have been more mild. A partial slander sought I to avoid, and in the sentence, my own life destroyed. Alas, I looked when some of you would say I was too strict to make mine own away. But you gave leave to my unwilling tongue, against my will, to do myself this wrong.
Cousin, farewell. And uncle bid him so. 6 years we banish him, and he shall go.
Cousin, farewell. What presence must not know. From where you do remain, let paper show.
Oh, to what purpose dost thou hoard thy word, that thou returnest no greeting to thy friends?
I have too few to take my leave of you.
Thy grief is but thy absence for a time.
Joy absent, grief is present for that
And
time.
what is 6 winters? They are quickly gone.
To men in joy, but grief makes 1 hour 10.
Call it a travel that thou takes for pleasure.
My heart will sigh when I miscall it so, which finds it an enforced pilgrimage. Nay, rather, every tedious stride I make will but remember me, what a deal of world I wander from the jewels that I love.
All places that the eye of heaven visits are, to the wise man, ports and happy havens. Teach thy necessity to reason thus. There is no virtue like necessity. Think not the king did banish thee, but thou the king. Woe doth the heaviest sit where it perceives it is but faintly born. Go, say I sent thee forth to purchase honour, and not the king exiled thee. Or suppose devouring pestilence hangs in our air, and thou art flying to a fresher clime. Look what thy soul holds dear. Imagine it to lie that way thou goest, not whence thou comest. Suppose the singing birds, musicians, the flowers, fair ladies, and thy steps no more than a delightful measure or a dance. For gnarling sorrow hath less power to bite the man that mocks at it and sets it light.
Oh, who can hold a fire in his hand by thinking on the frosty Caucasus, or cloy the hungry edge of appetite by bare imagination of a feast, or wallow naked in December snow by thinking on fantastic summer's heat? Oh no, the apprehension of the good gives but the greater feeling to the worse. Fell sorrow's tooth doth never rankle more than when he bites, but lanceth not the sore.
Come. Come, my son, I'll bring thee on thy way. Had I thy youth and cause, I would not stay.
Then England's ground, farewell. Sweet soil, adieu. My mother and my nurse that bears me yet. Where I wander, boast of this I can, though banished yet, a true-born Englishman.
On his way.
Brought high, Hereford, if you call him so, but to the next highway. And there I left him.
And say what store of parting tears were shed.
Faith, none for me, except the northeast wind, which then blew bitterly against our faces, awake the sleeping room, and so by chance did grace our hollow party with a tear.
And what said our cousin when you parted with him?
Farewell. And for my heart disdained that my tongue should so profane the word, that taught me craft, to counterfeit oppression of such grief, that words seem buried in my sorrow's grave. Marry, would the word, farewell, have lengthened hours and added years to his short banishment, he should have had a volume of farewells. But since it would not, he had none of me.
He is our cousin. But 'tis doubt when time shall call him home from banishment, whether our kinsmen come see his friends. Ourself and Bushy, Baggeter and Green, observed his courtship to the common people. How he did seem to dive into their hearts with humble and familiar courtesy, what reverence he did throw away on slaves, wooing poor craftsmen with a craft of smiles and patient underbearing of his fortune, as 'twere to banish their effects with him. Off comes his bonnet to an oyster wench. Brazen drayman bid God speed him well, and had the tribute of his supple knee with thanks, my countrymen, my loving friends, as were our England in revenge on his, and he, our subjects, next degree in hope.
Well, he's gone.
And with him go these four. Now for the rebels which stand out in Ireland. Expedient manage must be made, my liege, and for the leisure yield them further means, for their advantage and your highness's loss.
We will ourselves in person to this wall, and for our coffers with too great a court and liberal largesse are grown somewhat light, we are enforced to farm our royal realm, the revenue whereof shall furnish our affairs at hand. If that comes short, our substitutes at home shall have blank charters whereto, when they shall know what men are rich, they shall subscribe them for large sums of gold, and send them after to supply our wants, for we will make for Ireland presently. Bushy, what news?
Old John of Gaunt is grievous sick, my lord, suddenly taken, and has sent post haste to entreat your majesty to visit him.
Where lies he?
At Ely House.
Now, put it God in the physician's mind to help him to his grave immediately. The linings of his coffers will make coats to deck our soldiers for these Irish wars. Come, gentle queen, let's all go visit him. Pray God we may make haste and come too late. Amen!
Breathe my last in wholesome counsel to his unstayed youth.
Vex not yourself, nor strive not with your breath.
For all in vain comes counsel to his ear.
Oh, Northumberland, the tongues of dying men enforce attention like deep harmony. Where words are scarce, they're seldom spent in vain, for they breathe truth that breathe their words in pain. He that no more must say is listened more than they whom youth and ease have taught to glose. More are men's ends marked than their lives before. The setting sun and music at the close. As the last taste of sweets is sweetest last, writ in remembrance more than things long past. Though Richard my life's counsel would not hear, my death's sad tale may yet undeaf his ear.
No, it is stopped up with other flattering sounds, as praises to whose taste the wise are feared.
Direct not him whose way himself will choose. 'Tis breath thou lack'st, and that breath wilt thou lose.
Methinks I am a prophet, new inspired, and thus expiring do foretell of him. His rash, fierce blaze of riot cannot last, for violent fires soon burn out themselves. Small showers last long, but sudden storms are short. He tires betimes that spurs too fast betimes. With eager feeding, food doth choke the feeder. Oh, light vanity, insatiate cormorant, consuming mean soon preys upon itself. This royal throne of kings, this sceptred isle, this earth of majesty, this seat of Mars, this other Eden, demi-paradise, this fortress built by nature for herself against infection and the hand of war, this happy breed of men, this little world, this precious stone, set in the silver sea, which serves as in the office of a wall, or as a moat defensive to a house, against the envy of less happier lands. This blessed plot, this earth, this realm, this England, this nurse, this teeming womb of royal kings, feared by their breed and famous by their birth. This land of such dear souls, this dear, dear land, dear for her reputation through the world, is now leased out. I die pronouncing it, like to a tenement or pelting farm. England, bound in with the triumphant sea, whose rocky shore beats back the envious siege of watery Neptune, is now bound in with shame, with inky blots and rotten parchment bonds. That England, that was wont to conquer others, hath made a shameful conquest of itself. Oh! Would the scandal vanish with my life? How happy then were my ensuing death.
The king is come. Deal mildly with his youth, for young hot coats being raged, do rage the more.
How fares our noble Uncle Lancaster?
For comfort, man! How is't with aged Gaunt?
Oh, how that name befits my composition. Old Gaunt indeed, and gaunt in being old. Within me, grief hath kept a tedious fast, and who abstains from meat that is not gaunt? For sleeping England, long time have I watched. Watching breeds leanness, leanness is all gaunt. The pleasure that some fathers feed upon is my strict fast. I mean my children's looks, and therein fasting hast thou made me gaunt. Gaunt for the grave am I, gaunt as a grave, whose hollow womb inherits naught but bones.
Can sick men play so nicely with their names?
Oh, misery makes sport to mock itself. Since thou dost seek to kill my name in me, I mock my name, great king, to flatter thee.
So dying men flatter with those that live?
No, men living flatter those that die.
Thou now a dying say'st thou flatterest me.
Oh no, thou diest, though I the sicker be.
I am in health. I breathe and see thee ill.
Now he that made me knows I see thee ill in myself to see, and in thee seeing ill. Thy deathbed is no lesser than thy land, wherein thou liest in reputation sick. And thou, too careless patient as thou art, commits thy anointed body to the cure of those physicians that first wounded thee. 1,000 flatterers sit within thy crown, whose compass is no bigger than thy head, and yet encaged in so small a verge. The waste is no whit lesser than thy land. Oh! Had thy grandsire, with a prophet's eye, seen how his sons should destroy his sons, from forth thy reach he would have placed thy shame, deposing thee before thou wert possessed, which art possessed now to depose thyself. Why, cousin, Wert thou regent of the world, it were a shame to let this land by lease. But for thy world enjoying but this land, is it not more than shame to shame it so? Landlord of England art thou now, not king. Thy state of law is bond-slave to the law, and thou...
A lunatic, lean-witted fool, presuming on an ague's privilege, dares with thy frozen admonition make pale our cheek, chasing the royal blood with fury from his native residence. Now, by my seat's right royal majesty, wert thou not brother to great Edward's son, this tongue that ran so roundly in thy head should run thy head from thy unreverend shoulders.
Oh, spare me not, my brother Edward's son, for that I was his father Edward's son. That blood already like the pelican hast thou tapped out and drunkenly caroused. My brother Gloucester, plain well-meaning soul, who fair before in heaven mongst happy souls, may be a precedent and witness good that thou respects not spilling Edward's blood. Join with the present sickness that I have, and thy unkindness be like crooked age to crop at once a too long withered flower. Live in thy shame, but die not shame with thee. These words hereafter thy tormentors be. Willoughby, wrath, convey me to my bed and then to my grave. Love they to live, that love and honour have,
And let them die that age and silence have. For both hast thou, and both become the grave.
I do beseech your majesty, impute his words to wayward sickliness and age in him. He loves you on my life,
Huh.
and holds you dear, as Harry, Duke of Hereford, were he here.
Right, you say true. As Hereford's love, so his, as theirs, so mine, and all be as it is, my liege.
Old Gaunt commends him to your majesty.
What says he?
Nay, nothing. All is said. His tongue is now a stringless instrument. Words, life, and all old Lancaster have spent.
Be York the next to be bankrupt so, though death be poor, it ends a mortal woe.
The ripest fruit first falls, and so does he. His time is spent. Our pilgrimage must be. So much for that! Now! For these Irish wars, we must supplant these rough-rugged clans that live like venom where no venom ants, but only they have privilege to live. And for these great affairs do us and charge, towards our assistance, we do seize to us the plate, coin, revenues, and movables where all our Uncle Gaunt did stand possessed.
How long shall I be patient? Ah, how long shall tender duty make me suffer wrong? I am the last of noble Edward's sons, of whom thy father, Prince of Wales, was first. In war was never lion raged more fierce. In peace was never gentle lamb more mild than was that young and princely gentleman. His face thou hast, for even so looked he, accomplished with the number of thy hours. But when he frowned, it was against the French, and not against his friends. His noble hand did win what he did spend, and spent not that which his triumphant father's hand had won. His hands were guilty of no kindred blood, but bloody with the enemies of his kin. Oh, Richard, York is too far gone with grief, or else he never would compare between.
My uncle, what's the matter?
Oh, my liege, seek you to seize and gripe into your hands the royalties and rights of banished Hereford? Is not God dead, and doth not Harry live? Did not the one deserve to have an heir? Is not his heir a well-deserving son? Take Hereford's rights away, and take from time his charters and his customary rights. Let not tomorrow then ensue today. Be not thyself, for how art thou a king, but by fair sequence and succession? Now afore God, God forbid I say true. If you do wrongfully seize Hereford's rights, his livery, and deny his offered homage, you pluck 1,000 dangers on your head. You lose 1,000 well-disposed hearts, and prick my tender patience to those thoughts which honour and allegiance cannot faint.
Think what you will. We seize to our hands his plate, his goods, his money, and his land.
I'll not be by the while. My liege, farewell. What will ensue thereof, there's none can tell. But by bad courses may be understood that their events can never fall out good.
Go green to our treasurer, Wiltshire Strait. Bid him repair to us to Ely House to see this business. Tomorrow next we will for Ireland, and 'tis time, I trow. And we create, in absence of ourself, our Uncle York, Lord Governor of England, for he is just, and always loves our swell. Come on, our queen. Tomorrow we must part. Be merry, for our time of stay is short.
Well, lords, old Gaunt is dead.
And living too, for now his son is duke.
Barely in titles, not in revenues.
Richly in both, if justice had her right.
My heart is great, but it must break with silence, ere it be disburdened with a liberal tongue.
Nay, speak thy mind, and let him ne'er speak more that speaks thy words again to do thee harm.
Tends that thou wouldst speak to the Duke of Hereford. If it be so, out with it boldly, man. Quick is mine ear to hear of good towards him.
No good at all that I can do for him, unless he call it good to pity him, bereft and gelded of his patrimony.
Oh, for God, 'tis shame such wrongs are born in him, a royal prince, and many more of noble blood in this declining land. The king is not himself, but basely led by flatterers, and what they will inform merely in hate against any of us all. That will the king severely prosecute against us, our lives, our children, and our heirs.
The commons have he pilled with grievous taxes, and quite lost their hearts. The nobles have he fined for ancient quarrels, and quite lost their hearts.
And daily new exactions are devised as blanks, benevolences, and I wot not what. But what in God's name doth become of this?
Wars have not wasted it, for warred he have not, but basely yielded upon compromise that which his noble ancestors achieved with blows. More hath he spent in peace than they in war.
The Earl of Wiltshire had the realm in farm.
The king's grown bankrupt like a broken man.
Reproach and disillusion hangeth over him.
He hath not money for these Irish wars. His burdenous taxations notwithstanding, but by the robbing of the banished duke.
His noble kinsman, most degenerate king. But lords, even through the hollow eye of death, I spy life peering, but I dare not say how near the tidings of our comfort is.
Nay, let us share thy thoughts as thou dost ours.
Be confident to speak, Northumberland. We three are but thyself, and speaking so, thy words are but as thoughts. Therefore be bold.
Then thus, I have from Port Blanc, a bay in Brittany, received intelligence that Harry, Duke of Hereford, and like nobles, all well furnished by the Duke of Brittany, with 8 tall ships, 3,000 men of war, make hither with all due expedience, and shortly mean to touch our northern shore. If then we shall shake off our slavish yoke, imp out our drooping country's broken wing, redeem from blemished corn our broken crown, wipe off the dust that hides our sceptre's guilt, and make high majesty look like itself. Away with me and post to Ravensford!
To horse, to horse! Urge knights to them that fear! Hold out my horse, and I will first be there!
Madam, your majesty is too much sad. You promised when you parted with the king to lay aside life, harm, and heaviness and entertain a cheerful disposition.
To please the king, I did. To please myself, I cannot do it. Yet I know no cause why I should welcome such a guest as grief, save bidding farewell to so sweet a guest as my sweet Richard. Yet again, methinks some unborn sorrow, ripe in fortune's womb, is coming towards me. And my inward soul, with nothing, trembles. At something it grieves, more than with parting from my lord the king.
Each substance of a grief had 20 shadows, which shows like grief itself, but it's not so. For sorrow's eyes, glazed with blinding tears, divides one thing entire to many objects, like perspectives, which rightly gazed upon show nothing but confusion. I'd awry distinguish form. So your sweet majesty, looking awry upon your lord's departure, finds shapes of grief more than himself to wear, which looked on as it is not but shadows of what it is not.
Yet my inward soul persuades me it is otherwise. Howe'er it be, I cannot but be sad. So heavy sad, as though on thinking or no thought I think, makes me with heavy nothing faint and shrink.
'Tis nothing but conceit, my gracious lady.
'Tis nothing less. Conceit is still derived from some forefather grief. Mine is not so, for nothing hath begot my something grief, or something hath the nothing that I grieve. 'Tis in reversion I do possess, but what it is that is not yet known, what I cannot name. 'Tis nameless woe I wot.
God save your majesty. And well met, gentlemen. I hope the king has not yet shipped for Ireland.
Why hopest thou so? 'Tis better hope he is, for his designs crave haste. His haste, good hope. Then wherefore dost thou hope he is not shipped?
That he, our hope, might have retired his power and driven into despair an enemy's hope, who strongly have set footing in this land.
The banished Bolingbroke repeals himself, and with uplifted arms is safe arrived at Ravensford.
Now God in heaven forbid!
Oh, madam, 'tis too true.
And that is worse. For Lord Northumberland, his son young Harry Percy, the uncivil lords of Ross and Willoughby, with all their powerful friends, are fled to him.
Why have you not proclaimed Northumberland and all the rest revolted faction traitors?
We have. Whereupon his brother Worcester hath broken his staff, resigned the king's stewardship, and all the household servants fled with him to Bolingbroke.
Thou, Bushy, art the midwife to my woe, and Bolingbroke, my sorrow's dismal heir. Now hath my soul brought forth her prodigy, and I, a gasping, new-delivered mother, have woe to woe, sorrow to sorrow, joined.
Despair not, madam!
Who shall hinder me? I will despair, and be at enmity with cousining Hope. He is a flatterer, a parasite, a keeper back of death, who gently would dissolve the bands of life which false hope lingers in extremity.
Here comes the Duke of York!
With signs of war about his aged neck, or full of careful business are his looks. Uncle, for God's sake, speak comfortable words.
Should I do so, I should belie my thoughts. Comfort's in heaven, and we're on the earth where nothing lives but crosses, cares, and grief. Your husband, he is gone to save far off, whilst others come to make him lose at home. Here am I, left to underprop his land, who, weak with age, cannot support myself. Now comes the sick hour that is surfeit made. Now shall he try his friends that flattered him. The nobles, they are fled. The commons, they are cold. And will I fear revolt on Hereford's side? Sirrah, get thee to Pleshig, to my sister Gloucester. Bid her send me presently £1,000. Hold, take my ring.
My lord, I had forgot to tell your lordship. Today as I came by, I called it there. But I shall grieve you to report the rest.
What is name?
An hour before I came, the Duchess died.
God for his mercy! I know not what to do. I would to God the king had cut off my head with my brothers. What? Are there no posts dispatched for Ireland? How shall we do for money for these wars? Come, sister, cousin, I would say, pray pardon me. Gentlemen, will you go muster men? Both are my kinsmen. One is my sovereign, whom both my oath and duty bids defend. The other again is my kinsman, whom the king hath wronged, whom conscience and my kindred bids to right. Well, somewhat we must do. Come, cousin, I'll dispose of you. Gentlemen, go muster up your men and meet me presently at Berkeley Castle. I should to Pleshy too, but time will not permit. All is uneven, and everything is left at 6 and 7.
The wind sets fair for news to go for Ireland, but none returns. For us to levy power proportionable to the enemy is all impossible.
Besides, our nearness to the king in love is near the hate of those love not the king.
And that's the wavering commons, for their love lies in their purses. And whoso empties them by so much fills their hearts with deadly hate, wherein the king stands generally condemned. If judgment lie in them, then so do we, because we have been near the king.
Well, I'll for refuge straight to Bristol Castle. The Earl of Wiltshire is already there.
Thither will I with you, for little office will the hateful commons perform for us, except like curs to tear us all to pieces. Will you go along with us? No, I will to Ireland, to his majesty. Farewell. If what presages be not vain, we three here part, then ne'er shall meet again. That's as York thrives to beat back Bolingbroke. Alas, poor Duke, the task he undertakes is numbering sands, or drinking oceans dry. Where one on his side fights, thousands will fly.
Farewell at once, for all, and ever.
Well, we may meet again. I fear me, never.
How far is it, my lord, to Berkeley now?
Believe me, noble lord, I am a stranger here in Gloucestershire. These high, wild hills and rough, uneven ways draws out our miles and makes them wearisome. And yet your discourse has been as sugar, making the hard way sweet and delectable. Methinks what a weary way from Ravensbourne to Cotswold should be found in Ross and Willoughby wanting of thy company, which I protest has very much beguiled the tediousness and process of our travel. But theirs is sweetened with the hope to have the present benefit which I possess, the sight of this, your noble company.
Of much less value is my company than your good words. But who comes here? It is my son, young Harry Percy, sent from my brother Worcester whensoever. Harry, how fares your uncle?
I thought, my lord, to have learned his health of you.
Was he not with the Queen?
No, my good lord. He hath forsook the court, broken his staff of office, and dispersed the household of the king.
What was his reason? He was not so resolved when last we spake together.
Because your lordship was proclaimed traitor. But he, my lord, has gone to Ravenspur to offer service to the Duke of Hereford, and sent me over by Berkeley to discover what power the Duke of York had levied there, then with directions to repair to Ravenspur.
You forgot the Duke of Hereford, boy.
No, my good lord, but that is not forgot which ne'er I did remember. To my knowledge, I never in my life did look on him.
Then learn to know him now. This is the Duke.
My gracious lord, I tender you my service, such as it is being tender or young, which elder days shall ripen and confirm to more approved service and desert.
I thank thee, gentle Percy, and be sure as my dear fortune ripens with thy love, it shall be still thy true love's recompense. My heart this covenant makes, my hand thus seals it. How far is it to Berkeley? And what stir?
Keeps good old York there with his men of war.
There stands the castle, by yon tuft of trees, manned with 300 men, as I have heard, and in it are the lords of York, Berkeley, and Seymour, none else of name and noble estimate.
Ah! It is the Lords of Ross and Willoughby, bloody with spur and fiery red with haste. Welcome, lords. I want your love pursues a banished traitor. All my treasury is yet but unfelt thanks, which more enriched shall be your love and labour's recompense.
Your presence makes us rich, my lord of Hereford, and far surmounts our labour to attain it.
My lord, my answer is to Lancaster, and I'm come to seek that name in England, and I must find that title in your tongue before I make reply to aught you say.
Mistake me not, noble lord. I speak not to raise one title of your honour out.
Evermore thanks, the exchequer of the poor, which till my infant fortune comes to years, stands for my bounty. My noble uncle.
Show me thy humble heart, and not thy knee, whose duty is deceivable and false.
My gracious uncle.
Tut, tut. Grace me no grace, nor uncle me no uncle. I am no traitor's uncle, and that word grace in an ungracious mouth is but profane. Why have those banished and forbidden legs dared once to touch a dust of England's ground? But then more why? Why have they dared to march so many miles upon her peaceful bosom, frighting her pale-faced villagers with war and ostentation of despised arms? Comest thou, because the anointed king is hence? Why, foolish boy, the king is left behind, and in my loyal bosom lies his power. Thou art a banished man, and here art come before the expiration of thy time in braving arms against thy sovereign.
As I was banished Hereford, but as I come for Lancaster. And noble uncle, I beseech your grace, look on my wrongs with an indifferent eye. You are my father, for methinks in you I see old Gaunt alive. Oh then, my father, will you permit that I should stand condemned a wandering vagabond, my rights and royalties plucked from my arms perforce and given away to upstart unthrifts? Wherefore was I born? If that my cousin king be king in England, it must be granted I am Duke of Lancaster. You have a son, O Merle, my noble cousin. Had you first died, and he'd been thus trod down, he should have found his uncle Gaunt a father, to rouse his wrongs and chase them to the bay. My father's goods are all distrained and sold, and these and all are misemployed. What would you have me do? I am a subject, and I challenge law. Attorneys are denied me, and therefore personally I lay my claim to my inheritance of free descent.
The noble Duke hath been too much abused.
It stands upon your grace to do him right.
Base men by his endowments are made great.
My lords of England, let me tell you this. I have had feeling of my cousin's wrongs and laboured all I could to do him right. But in this kind, to come in braving arms to find out right with wrong, it may not be. And you that do abet him in this kind, cherish rebellion and are rebels all.
The noble Duke has sworn his coming is but for his own, and for the right of that we have strongly sworn to give him aid. And let no man see joy that breaks that oath.
Well, well, I see the issue in these arms. I cannot mend it, I must needs confess, because my power is weak and all ill left. But if I could, by him that gave me life, I would attach you all and make you stoop unto the sovereign mercy of the king. But since I cannot, be it known unto you, I do remain as neuter. So fare you well, unless you please to enter the castle, and there repose you for this night.
I offer, uncle, that we will accept. But we must win your grace to go with us to Bristol Castle, which they say is held by Bushy Green and their accomplices, the caterpillars of the Commonwealth, which I have sworn to weed and pluck away.
It may be I will go with you, but yet I'll pause, for I am loath to break our country's laws. Nor friends nor foes to me welcome you are. Things past redress, and now with me past care.
The bay trees in our country are all withered, and meteors fright the fixed stars of heaven. The pale-faced moon looks bloody on the earth, and lean-looked prophets whisper fearful change. Rich men look sad, and ruffians dance and leap, the one in fear to lose what they enjoy, the other to enjoy by rage and war. These signs forerun the death or fall of kings. Ah, Richard, with the eyes of heavy mind, I see thy glory like a shooting star fall to the base earth from the firmament. Thy sun sets weeping in the lowly west, witnessing storms to come, woe and unrest. Thy friends are fled to wait upon thy foes, and crossly to thy good all fortune goes.
Bring forth these men! Bushy and Green, I will not vex your souls, since presently your souls must part your bodies. We will unfold some causes of your deaths.
You have misled a prince, a noble king, a happy gentleman in blood and lineament, by you unhappy and disfigured clean.
Myself a prince, by fortune of my birth, near to the king in blood and near in love, till you did make him misinterpret me, have stooped my neck under your injuries, and sighed my English breath in foreign clouds, eating the bitter bread of banishment, whilst you have fed upon my sinews, this part my parks, and felled my forest woods. This and much more than twice all this, condemns you to the death. See them delivered over to execution and the hand of death.
More welcome is the stroke of death to me, and Bolingbroke to England. Lords, farewell.
My comfort is that heaven will take our souls and plague injustice with the pains of hell.
My Lord Northumberland, see them dispatched. Uncle, you say the Queen is at your house. For God's sake, fairly let her be entreated. Tell her I send to her my kind commends. Take special care my greeting be delivered.
A gentleman of mine I have dispatched, with letters of your love to her at large.
Thanks, gentle uncle. Come lords away, to fight Glendower and his complices, a while to work and after holiday.
Harlech Castle, call they this at hand?
Yea, my lord, how brooks your grace the air after your late tossing on the breaking seas?
Needs must I like it well. I weep with joy to stand upon my kingdom once again. Dear earth, I do salute thee with my hand, though rebels wound thee with their horses' hooves. As a long-parted mother with her child, so weeping, smiling, greet I thee, my earth. Feed not thy sovereign's foes, my gentle earth, nor with thy sweets comfort his ravenous sense, but let thy spiders that suck up thy venom and heavy-gated toads lie in their way, doing annoyance to the treacherous feet which with usurping steps do trample thee. Oh, mock not my senseless conjuration, cousin. This earth shall have a feeling, and these stones prove armed soldiers. A native king shall falter under foul rebellion's arms.
Fear not, my lord. That power that made you king had power to keep you king, in spite of all. The means that heavens yield must be embraced and not neglected. We are too remiss, whilst Bolingbroke, through our security, grows strong and great in substance and in power.
This comfortable cousin, knowst thou not? Not all the water in the rough-rude sea can wash the balm off from an anointed king. The breath of worldly men cannot depose the deputy elected by the Lord. For every man that Bolingbroke hath pressed to lift shrewd steel against our golden crown, God for his riches hath in heavenly pay a glorious angel. Then if angels fight, weak men must fall, for heaven still guards the right. Ah, welcome, Maggot. How far off lies thy power?
No near, no farther off, my gracious lord, than this weak arm. Discomfort guides my tongue, and bids me speak of nothing but despair. One day too late, I fear me, noble lord, and clouded all thy happy days on earth. Oh, call back yesterday, bid time return, and thou shalt have 12,000 fighting men. Today, unhappy day too late, o'erthrows thy joys, friends, fortune, and thy state. For Glendower and all, hearing thou art dead, are gone to Bolingbroke, dispersed and fled.
Comfort, my liege. Why looks your grace so pale?
But now the blood of 20,000 men did triumph in my face, and they are fled. Till so much blood come hither once again, have I not reason to look pale and dead? All souls that will be safe, fly from my side, for time hath set a blot upon my pride.
Comfort, my liege. Remember who you are.
I had forgot. Am I not king? Awake, thou coward majesty, thou sleepst. Is not the king's name 20,000 names? Harm my name. I know my uncle York hath power enough to serve our turn.
More health and happiness betide my liege, then can my catching tongue deliver him.
My ear is open, my heart prepared. The worst is worldly loss, thou canst unfold. Say, is my kingdom lost? Why 'twas my care habit of care. Strives Bolingbroke to be as great as we. Greater he shall not be if he serves God, will serve him too and be his fellows so. Revolt our subjects that we cannot mend, they break their faith to God as well as us, cry woe. Destruction, ruin and decay. The worst is death. And death will have his day.
Glad am I that your highness is so armed to bear the tidings of calamity. Like an unseasonable stormy day, which makes the silver rivers drown their shores, as if the world were all dissolved to tears. So high above his limits swells the rage of Bolingbroke, covering your fearful land with hard bright steel, and hearts harder than steel. White beards have armed their thin and hairless scarps against thy majesty. Boys with women's voices strive to speak big and clap their female joints and stiff and wieldy arms against thy crown. Yea, distaff women manage rusty bills against thy seat. Both young and old rebel, and all goes worse than I have power to tell.
Too well thou tell'st a tale so ill. Where is our treasurer, Wiltshire? What is become of Bushy? Where is Green? That they have let the dangerous enemy measure our confines with such peaceful steps. 3 Judases, each one thrice worse than Judas, would they make peace? Terrible hell make war upon their spotted souls for this.
Again uncurse their souls. Their peace is made with heads and not with hands. Those whom you curse have felt the worst of death's destroying wound, and lie full low, graved in the hollow ground.
Is Bushy, Green, and the Earl of Wiltshire dead?
Aye, all of them at Bristol lost their head.
Where is the Duke, my father, with his power?
No matter where. Of comfort no man speak. Let's talk of graves and worms and epitaphs. And dust our paper and with rainy eyes write sorrow on the bosom of the earth. Let's choose executors and talk of wills, and let not so, for what can we bequeath save our deposed bodies to the ground, our lands, our lives, and all our Bolingbrookes? And nothing can we call our own but death, and that small model of the barren earth that serves as paste and cover to our bones, for God's sake. Let's sit upon the ground and tell sad stories of the death of kings. Now, some have been deposed, some slain in war, some haunted by the ghosts they have deposed, some poisoned by their wives, some sleeping killed, all murdered. For within the hollow crown that rounds the mortal temples of a king keeps death his court. And there the antic sits, scoffing his state and grinning at his pomp, allowing him a breath, a little scene, to monarchize, be feared and kill with looks, infusing him with self and vain conceit, as if his flesh that walls about our life were brass impregnable. And human thus comes at the last, and with a little pin bores through his castle wall, and farewell, king. Cover your heads, mock not flesh and blood with solemn reverence. Throw away respect, tradition, form, and ceremonious duty, for you have but mistook me all this while. I live with bread, like you. Feel want, taste grief, subjected thus, how can you say to me I am a king?
My lord, wise men there sit and wail their woes, but presently prevent the ways to wail. To fear the foe, since fear of present strength gives in your weakness strength unto your foe. And so your follies fight against yourself. Fear and be slain. No worse can come to fight. And fight and die is death destroying death, while fearing dying pays death's servile breath. My father hath a power. Inquire of him, and learn to make a body of a limb.
Thou chidest me well. Proud Bolingbroke, I come to change blows with thee for our day of doom. This ague fit of fear is o'erblown. An easy task it is to win our own, say Becket. Where lies my uncle with his power? Speak sweetly, man, although thy looks be sour.
Men judge by the complexion of the sky, the state and inclination of the day. So may you by my dull and heavy eye. My tongue hath but a heavier tale to say. I play the torturer by small and small, to lengthen out the worst that must be spoken. Your Uncle York is joined with Bolingbroke. And all your northern castles are yielded up, and all your southern gentlemen in arms upon his part.
Now I said enough. Beshrew thee, cousin, which did lead me forth of that sweet way I was into despair. What say you now? What comfort have we now? By heaven, I'll hate him everlastingly, that bids me be of comfort anymore. Go to Flint Castle. There I'll pine away. A king, woe slave, shall kingly woe obey. That power I have discharge. Let them go to ear the land that have some hope to grow, for I have none. Let no man speak again to Walter this, for counsel is but vain.
My liege,
He does me double wrong, that wounds me with the flatteries of his tongue. Discharge my followers, let them hence away from Richard's night. To Bolingbroke's fair day.
Glendower's men are dispersed, and O'More has gone with the king, who lately landed with some few private friends upon this coast.
The news is very fair and good, my lord. Richard, not far from hence, hath hid his head.
It would beseem the Lord Northumberland to say King Richard. Alack the heavy day when such a sacred king should hide his head.
Your grace mistakes. Only to be brief left I his title out.
The time hath been Would you have been so brief with him, he would have been so brief with you, to shorten you for taking so the head your whole head's length.
Mistake not, uncle, further than you should.
Take not, good cousin, further than you should, lest you mistake. The heavens are o'er our heads.
I know it, uncle, and oppose not myself against their will. Welcome, Harry. What will not this castle yield?
The castle royally is manned, my lord, against thy entrance.
Royally? What contains no king?
Yes, my good lord, it doth contain a king. King Richard lies within the limits of yon Lyman stone, and with him are the lords O'Merle and Bagot.
Noble lord, go to the rude ribs of that ancient castle. Through brazen trumpet, send the breath of parley into his ruined ears, and thus deliver Henry Bolingbroke, on both his knees, doth kiss King Richard's hand, and sends allegiance and true faith of heart to his most royal person. Hither come, e'en at his feet, to lay my arms and power, provided that my banishment repealed, and lands restored again be freely granted. If not, I'll use the advantage of my power, and lay the summer's dust with showers of blood, rain from the wounds of slaughtered Englishmen. The which, how far off from the mind of Bolingbroke it is, such crimson tempest should be drenched the fresh green lap of fair King Richard's land, my stooping duty tenderly shall show. Go signify as much. Methinks King Richard and myself should meet, with no less terror than the elements. Be he the fire, I'll be the yielding water. The rage be his, whilst on the earth I rain my waters. On the earth and not on him. March on, and mark King Richard how he looks.
See, King Richard doth himself appear, as doth the blushing discontented sun from out the fiery portal of the east. When he perceives the envious clouds are bent to dim his glory and to stain the track of his bright passage to the Occident. Yet looks he like a king. Behold his eye, as bright as is the eagle's, lightens forth, controlling majesty. Alack for woe, that any harm should stain so fair a show.
We are amazed, and thus long have we stood to watch the fearful bending of thy knee, because we thought ourselves thy lawful king. And if we be, how dare thy joints forget to pay their awful duty to our presence? If we be not, show us the hand of God that hath dismissed us from our stewardship. For well we know no hand of blood and bone can gripe the sacred handle of our sceptre, unless he do profane, steal, or usurp. And though you think that all as you have done have torn their souls in turning them from us, and we are barren and bereft of friends, yet know, my master, God omnipotent, is mustering in his clouds on our behalf armies of pestilence. And they shall strike your children, yet unborn and unbegot, that lift your vassal hands against my head, and threat the glory of my precious crown. Tell Bolingbroke, for yon methinks he stands, that every stride he takes across our land is dangerous treason. He is come to open the purple testament of bleeding war, but ere the crown he looked for live in peace, 10,000 bloody crowns of mother's son shall ill become the flower of England's face, change the complexion of her maid pale peace to scarlet indignation, and bedew her pastor's grass with faithful English blood.
The Lord of heaven forbid that our Lord the King should so with civil and uncivil arms be rushed upon. Thy thrice noble cousin Harry Bolingbroke does humbly kiss thy hand, and by the honourable tomb he swears that stands upon your royal grandsire's bones, and on the buried hand of warlike gods, and on the word and honour of himself, that his coming hither has no further scope than for his lineal royalties, and to beg enfranchisement immediate on his knees, which if thy royal party granted once, his glittering arms he will commend to rust, his barbed steeds to stables, and his heart in faithful service to your majesty. This swears he, as he is a prince and just, and as I am a gentleman, I credit him.
Northumberland. Say thus the king returns. His noble cousin is right welcome hither, and all the number of his fair demand shall be accomplished without contradiction. With all the gracious utterance thou hast, speak to his gentle hearing kind commands.
We do debase ourselves, cousin, do we not? To look so poorly and speak so fair. Shall we call back Northumberland and send defiance to the traitor and so die?
No, good my lord. Let's fight with gentle words till time lend friends, and friends their helpful swords.
Oh God, that ere this tongue of mine that laid sentence of dread banishment on yon proud man should take it off again with words of sooth. Oh, that I were as great as is my grief, or lesser than my name, or I could forget what I have been, or not remember what I must be now. Swell'st thou, proud heart? I'll give thee scope to beat, since foes have scope to beat both thee and me.
Northumberland comes back from Bolingbroke.
What must the king do now? Must he submit? The king shall do it. Must he be deposed? The king shall be contented. Must he give up the name of king? In God's name, let it go. I'll give my jewels for a set of beads, my gorgeous palace for a hermitage, my gay apparel for an almsman's gown, my figured goblets for a dish of wood, my sceptre for a palmer's walking staff, my subjects for a pair of carven saints, my large kingdom for a little grave, an obscure grave, or I'll be buried in the king's highway, some way of common trade where subjects' feet may hourly trample on their sovereign's head, for on my heart they tread now whilst I live, and buried once, why not upon my head? Oh no. Now weeps my tender-hearted cousin. We'll make foul weather with despised tears, or shall we play the wantons with our woes? Will not this ill do well? Well, I see I talk but idly, and you laugh at me. Most mighty prince, my lord Northumberland, what says King Bolingbroke? Will his majesty give Richard leave to live till Richard die? You make a leg, and Bolingbroke says, I.
My lord, in the base court, does attend to speak with you, if it please you to come down.
Down I come, like glistering phaeton, wanting the manage of unruly jades. In the base court. A base court, where kings grow base to come at traitors' calls and do them grace. In the base court, come down. Down, court. Down, king. For night owls shriek, where mounting larks should sing.
What says his majesty? Sorrow and grief of heart make him speak fondly, like a frantic man. Yet he is come.
Stand all apart and show fair duty to his majesty. My gracious lord.
Ha! Fair cousin, you debase your princely knee to make the base earth proud with kissing it. Me rather had my heart might feel your love, than my unpleased eye see your courtesy. Up, cousin, up. Your heart is up, I know, thus high at least, although your knee be low.
My gracious lord, I come but for mine own.
Your own is yours, and I am yours, and all.
So far be mine, my most redoubted lord, as my true service shall deserve your love.
Well, you deserve. They well deserve to have that though the strong stand surest way to get. Uncle, give me your hand. Nay, dry your eyes. Tears show their love, but want their remedies. Cousin, I am too young to be your father, though you are old enough to be my heir. What you will have, I'll give, and willingly too. For do we must what force will have us do. Set on toward London, cousin. Is it so?
Yea, my good lord.
And I must not say no.
Shall we devise here in this garden
To drive away the heavy thought of care?
Madam, we'll play at bowls.
will make me think the world is full of rubs, and my fortune runs against the bias.
Madam, we'll dance.
My legs can keep no measure in delight, my poor heart no measure keeps in grief. Therefore no dancing, girl, some other sport.
Madam, we'll tell tales.
Of sorrow or of joy?
Of either, madam.
Of neither, girl. If of joy, being altogether wanting, it doth remember me the more of sorrow. And if of grief, being altogether had, it adds more sorrow to my want of joy. For what I have, I need not to repeat, and what I want, it boots not to complain.
Madam, I'll sing.
Oh, 'tis well that thou hast cause, that thou shouldst please me better, wouldst thou weep.
I could weep, madam.
Would it do you good, and I could sing, would weeping do me good, and never borrow any tear of thee. But stay, here come the gardeners. Let's step into the shadow of these trees. My wretchedness unto a row of pins, they'll talk of state, but everyone doth so against a change. Woe is forerun with woe.
Go, bind thou up, young dangling apricots, which like unruly children make their sire stoop with oppression of their prodigal weight. Give some supportance to the bending twigs. Go thou, and like an executioner, cut off the heads of two fast-growing sprays that look too lofty in our commonwealth. All must be even in our government. Thou thus employed, I will go root away the noisome weeds, which without profit suck the soil's fertility from wholesome flowers.
Why should we, in the compass of a pail, keep law and form and due proportion? When our sea-walled garden, this whole land is full of weeds, and her wholesome herbs swarming with caterpillars.
Hold thy peace. He that hath suffered this disordered spring hath now himself met with a fall of leaf. The weeds, which his broad spreading leaves did shelter, that seemed ill-eating him to hold him up, are plucked up, root and all, by Bolingbroke. I mean the Earl of Wiltshire, Bushy, Green.
What? Are they dead?
They are. And Bolingbroke has seized the wasteful king. What pity is it that he had not so trimmed and dressed his land as we this garden. We, at time of year, do wound the bark, the skin of our fruit trees, that's being overproud in sap and blood. Too much riches, it confound itself. Had he done so to great and growing men, they might have lived to bear and he to taste their fruits of duty. Superfluous branches we lop away, that bearing boughs may live. Had he done so, himself had borne the crown, which waste of idle hours had quite thrown down.
Think you then the king shall be deposed?
Depressed he is already, and deposed, 'tis doubt he will be. Letters came last night to a dear friend of the good Duke of York that tell black tidings.
Oh, I'm pressed to death through want of speaking. Thou, old Adam's likeness, what Eve, what serpent hath suggested thee to make a second fall of cursed man? Why dost thou say King Richard is deposed? Darest thou, thou little better thing than earth, divine his downfall? How camest thou by these ill tidings? Say where, when, and how. Speak, thou wretch!
Pardon me, madam. Little joy have I to breathe this news. Yet what I say is true. King Richard, he is in a mighty hold of Bolingbroke. Their fortunes both are weighed. In your lord's scale sits nothing but himself, and some few vanities that make him light. But in the balance of great Bolingbroke, besides himself are all the English peers, and with that odds he weighs King Richard down. Post you to London, and you will find it so. I speak no more than everyone doth know.
Nimble mischance, that art so light of foot, doth not thy embassage belong to me, and am I the last that knows it? Oh, thou think'st to serve me last, that I may longest keep thy sorrow in my breast. So, I will go to meet in London, London's king in woe. What, was I born to this, that my sad look should grace the triumph of great Bolingbroke? Gardener, for telling me these news of woe,
Pray God, the plants thou grafts may never grow.
Poor queen, so that thy state might be no worse, I would my skill was subject to thy curse. Here did she fall a tear. Here, in this place, I'll set a bank of rue, sour herb of grace. Rue, even for rue, here shortly shall be seen, in the remembrance of a weeping queen.
Freely speak thy mind. What thou dost know of noble Gloucester's death, who wrought it with the king, and who performed the bloody office of his timeless end?
Then set before my face the Lord of all.
Cousin, stand forth and look upon that man.
My Lord of all, I know your daring tongue scorns to unsay what once it hath delivered.
In that dead time when Gloucester's death was plotted, I heard you say, is not my arm of length that reacheth from the restful English court as far as Calais to mine uncle's head?
Hey!
Amongst much other talk, that very time I heard you say that you had rather refuse the offer of 100,000 crowns than Bolingbroke's return to England, adding withal how blessed this land would be in this your cousin's death.
Princes and noble lords, what answer shall I make to this base man? Shall I so much dishonour my fair stars on equal terms to give him chastisement? Either I must, or have mine honour soiled with the attainder of his slanderous lips. There is my gage, the manual seal of death that marks thee out for hell. I say thou liest, and will maintain what thou hast said is false in thy heart blood, though being all too base to stain the temper of my knightly sword.
Bagot, forbear, thou shalt not take it up.
Excepting one, I would he were the best in all this presence that hath moved me so.
If that thy valour stand on sympathy, there is my gage, O Merle, engaged to thine. And by the fair sun which shows me where thou standst, I heard thee say, and vauntingly thou spakest it, that thou art cause of noble Gloucester's death. If thou deniest it 20 times, thou liest, and I will turn thy falsehood to thy heart, where it was forged with my rapier's point.
Thou darest not, coward, live to see that day.
No! By my soul, I would it were this hour!
Oh, Bagot, thou art damned to hell for this.
Amal! Thou liest. His honour is as true in this appeal as thou art all unjust, and that thou art so. There! I throw my gage to prove it on thee to the extremest point of mortal breathing. Seize it, if thou darest.
And if I do not, may my hands rot off, and never brandish more revengeful steel over the glittering helmet of my foe. Who sets me else? By heaven, I will throw it all. I have 1,000 spirits in one breast to answer 20,000 such as you. That lie shall lie so heavy on my sword that it shall render vengeance and revenge, till thou, the lie giver, and that lie do lie in earth as quiet as thy father's skull.
Hey!
In proof whereof, here is my honour's pawn. Engage it to the trial, if thou darest.
Okay.
As I intend to thrive in this new world, Amal is guilty of my true appeal. Besides, I heard the banished Norfolk say that thou, O Merle, did send 2 of thy men to execute the noble Duke at Calais.
Some honest Christian trust me with a game. That Norfolk lies, there I do throw down this, if he may be repealed to try his honour.
Okay. These differences shall all rest under gage till Norfolk be repealed. Repealed he shall be. And though mine enemy restored again to all his lands and signories, when he is returned, against O Merle we will enforce his triumph.
That honourable day shall ne'er be seen. Many a time hath banished Norfolk fought for Jesu Christ in glorious Christian field, streaming the ensign of the Christian cross against black pagans, Turks and Saracens, and toiled with works of war, retired himself to Italy, and there at Venice gave his body to that pleasant country's earth, and his pure soul unto his captain Christ, under whose colours he had fought so long.
Why, Percy, is Norfolk dead?
Surely as I live, my lord.
Sweet peace, conduct his sweet soul to the bosom of good old Abraham.
Great Lord of Lancaster, I come to thee from plume-plucked Richard, who with willing soul adopts the heir, and whose high sceptre yields to the possession of thy royal hand. Ascend the throne, descending now from him, and long live Henry, 4th of that name.
In God's name, I'll ascend the regal throne.
Marry, God forbid! Would God that any in this noble presence were enough noble to be upright judge of noble Richard, then true noblesse would learn them forbearance from so foul a wrong. What subject can give sentence on his king? And who sits here that is not Richard's subject? And shall the figure of God's majesty, his captain, steward, deputy elect, anointed, crowned, planted many years, be judged by subject and inferior breath, and he himself not present? Oh, forfended God!
My noble Lord Hereford, whom you call king, if you do crown him, let me prophesy. The blood of English shall manure the ground, and future ages groan for this foul act. Peace shall go sleep with Turks and infidels, and in this seat of peace, tumultuous wars shall kin with kin and kind with kind confound. Oh, if you raise this house against this house, it will the woefulest division prove that ever fell upon this cursed earth. Prevent it. Resist it. Let it not be so, lest child's children cry against you woe.
Well, have you argued, sir? And for your pains, may it please you, lords, to grant the commons' suit.
Fetch hither Richard, that in common view he may surrender, so we shall proceed without suspicion.
I will be his conduct.
Lords appellants, your differences shall all rest under gauge till we assign you to your days of trial.
Alack! Why am I sent for to a king before I have shook off the regal thoughts wherewith I reigned? I hardly yet have learned to insinuate, flatter, bow and bend the knee. Give sorrow leave a while to tutor me to this submission. Yet well I remember the favours of these men. Were they not mine? Did they not sometimes cry, Ore? To me, so Judas did to Christ. Yet he in 12 found truth in all but one. I in 12,000, none. God save the king! Will no one say amen? Am I both priest and clerk? Well then, amen. God save the king, though I be not he. And yet, amen, if heaven do think in me. To do what service am I sent for hither?
To do that office of thine own goodwill, which tired majesty did make the offer, the resignation of thy state and crown to Henry Bolingbroke.
Give me the crown. Here, cousin! Seize the crown! Papa! Cousin, on this side my hand, on that side thine. Now is this golden crown like a deep well that owes two buckets filling each other. The emptier ever dancing in the air, the other down unseen and full of water, the bucket down and full of tears am I, drinking my griefs, while you mount up on high.
I thought you had been willing to resign.
My crown I am, but still my griefs are mine. You may my glory and my state depose, But not my griefs. Still am I king of those.
Part of your cares you give me with your crown.
Your cares set up do not pluck my cares down. My care is loss of care, by old care done. Your care is gain of care by new care won. The cares I give, I have, though given away. They tend to the crown, yet still with me they stay.
Are you contented to resign the crown?
No. No. Why? For I must nothing be, therefore, no, for I resign to thee. Now, mark me, how I will undo myself. I give this heavy weight from off my head, and this unwieldy sceptre from my hand, the pride of kingly sway from out my heart. With mine own tears I wash away my balm, with mine own hand I give away my crown, with mine own tongue deny my sacred state, with mine own breath release all duteous oaths, all pomp and majesty I do forswear, my manners, rents and revenues I forego, my acts, decrees and statutes I deny. God pardon, all oaths are broke to me, God keep all vows unbroke are made to thee, make me that nothing have, with nothing grieved, and thou withal pleased that hast all achieved. Long mayst thou live in Richard's seat to sit, and soon lie Richard in an earthy pit. God save King Henry! Unkinged Richard saves, and send him many years of sunshiny days. What more remains?
No more. But you read over these accusations and these grievous crimes committed by your person and your followers against the state and the profit of the land, that by confessing to do so, the souls of men may deem that you are worthily deposed.
Must I do so? And must I ravel out my weaved up follies? Gentle Northumberland, if thy offences were upon record, would it not shame thee in so fair a troop to read a lecture of them? Nay, and all of you that do stand and look upon me, whilst that my wretchedness doth bait myself, though some of you with Pilate wash your hands, showing an outward pity, yet you, Pilate, have delivered me to my sour cross, and water cannot wash away your sin.
My lord, dispatch, read o'er the articles.
Mine eyes are full of tears I cannot see. Yet salt water blinds them not so much that they can see a sort of traitors here. Nay, when I turn my eyes upon myself, I find myself a traitor with the rest. For I have given here my soul's consent to deck the pompous body of a king, make glory base, and sovereignty a slave, proud majesty a subject, state a peasant.
My lord!
No! Lord of thine, thou hot, insulting man! Oh, no man's lord. I have no name, no title. No, not the name was given me at the font where 'tis usurped. Like the heavy day that I have worn so many winters out and know not now what name to call myself. mockery, king of snow, standing before the son of Bolingbroke to melt myself away to water drops. Good king, great king, and yet not greatly good. And if my word be sterling yet in England, let it command a mirror hither straight, that it may show me what face I have since it is bankrupt of his majesty.
Go, Percy, you, and fetch a looking-glass.
Read o'er the papers till the glass doth come.
Fiend, thou torments me ere I come to hell.
Urge it no more, my Lord Northumberland.
The Commons will not then be satisfied.
They shall be satisfied. I'll read enough when I do see the very book indeed where all my sins are writ, and that's myself. Give me the glass. Therein will I read. No deeper wrinkles yet. Sorrow struck so many blows upon my face and left no deeper wounds. Oh, flattering glass. Like to my followers in prosperity, thou dost beguile me. Was this face the face that every day under his household roof did keep 10,000 men? Was this the face that, like the sun, did make beholders wink? Is this the face which faced so many follies, that was, at last, outfaced by Bolingbroke? A brittle glory shineth in this face, as brittle as the glory is the face for. There it is, cracked in 100 shivers. Mark, silent king, the moral of this sport. How soon my sorrow hath destroyed my face.
The shadow of your sorrow hath destroyed the shadow of your face.
Say that again. The shadow of my sorrow. Let's see. It's very true. My grief lies all within, and these external manners of lament are merely shadows to the unseen grief that swells in the silence of the tortured soul. There lies the substance, and I thank thee, King, for thy great bounty that not only gives me cause to wail, but teaches me the way how to lament the cause. I'll beg one boon and then be gone, and trouble you no more. Shall I obtain it?
Name it, fair cousin.
Fair cousin? Why, I am greater than a king, for when I was a king, my flatterers were but subjects. Being now a subject, I have a king to my flatterer. Being so great, I have no need to beg.
Yet ask.
And shall I have?
You shall.
Then give me leave to go.
Whither?
Whither? You will, so I am from your sight.
Go, some of you. Convey him to the tower.
Oh, good! Convey! Conveyors are you all, that rise thus nimbly from a true king's form.
On Wednesday next, we solemnly set down our coronation. Lords, prepare yourselves.
way the king will come. This is the way to Julius Caesar's ill-erected tower, to whose flint bosom my condemned lord is doomed a prisoner by proud Bolingbroke. Here let me rest, if this rebellious earth have any resting for her true king's queen. But soft, but see, or rather do not see my fair rose wither. Yet look up, behold, that you in pity may dissolve to dew and wash him fresh again with true love tears. O thou, the model where old Troy did stand, thou map of honour, thou King Richard's tomb and not King Richard, thou most beauteous inn. Why should hard-favoured grief be lodged in thee when triumph has become an alehouse guest?
Joy not with grief, fair woman. Do not so to make my end too sudden. Learn, good soul, to think our former state a happy dream from which awaits the truth of what we are. Shows us but this. I am sworn brother sweet with grim necessity. And he and I will keep a league till death. Hie thee to France and cloister thee in some religious house.
What? Is my Richard both in shape and mind transformed and weakened? Has Bolingbroke deposed thine intellect? Hath he been in thy heart? The lion, dying, thrusteth forth his paw and wounds the earth, if nothing else, with rage to be o'erpowered. And wilt thou, pupil-like, take the correction mildly? Kiss the rod, and fawn on rage with base humility, which art a lion and a king of beasts.
Oh, king of beasts indeed, if aught but beasts I had been still a happy king of men. Good sometimes queen, prepare thee hence for France. Think I am dead, and that even ere thou takest as from my deathbed thy last living leave. In winter's tedious nights, sit beside the fire with good old folks, and let them tell thee tales of woeful ages long ago betid. And ere thou bid good night to quite their griefs, tell thou the lamentable tale of me, and send the hearers weeping to their beds for the deposing of a rightful king.
My lord, the mind of Bolingbroke has changed. You must upon foot, not into the tower, and madam, there is an order ta'en for you with all swift speed. You must away to France.
Northumberland, thou ladder wherewithal the mounting Bolingbroke ascends my throne. The time shall not be many hours of age more than it is ere foul sin, gathering head, shall break into corruption. Thou shalt think, though he divide the realm and give thee half, it is too little, helping him to all. He shall think that thou, that knowest the way to plant unrightful kings, will know again, being so little urged, another way to pluck him headlong from the usurped throne. The love of wicked men converts to fear, that fear to hate, and hate turns one or both to worthy danger and deserved death.
The guilt be on my head, and there an end. Take leave, and part, for you must part forthwith.
Doubly divorced bound men, you violate a twofold marriage, twixt my crown and me, and then betwixt me and my married wife. Let me unkiss the oath twixt thee and me. And yet not so, for with a kiss 'twas made. Part us, Northumberland, I towards the north. My wife to France from whence sent forth in pomp she came adorned hither like sweet maid. Sent back like Hallowmas or shortst of day.
And must we be divided? Must we part?
Aye. Hand from hand, my love, and heart from heart.
Banish us both, and send the king with me.
That were some love, but little policy.
Then whither he goes, thither let me go.
So two together weeping make one woe. Weep thou for me in France, I for thee here. Better far off than near, be never near. One kiss shall stop our mouths and dumbly part. Let's give our money. Let's take out thy heart.
Give me mine own again. 'Twere no good part to take on me to keep and kill thy heart. Now I have mine own again. Begone, that I may strive to kill it with a groan.
We make war wanton with this fond delay. Once more, adieu, and the rest let sorrow say.
Oh, rude, misgoverned hands from window tops, through dust and rubbish on King Richard's head. Whilst all tongues cried, God save thee, Bolingbroke.
You would have thought the very windows spake. So many greedy looks of young and old through casements darted their desiring eyes. Whilst he, from the one side to the other, turning, bareheaded, lower than his proud steed's neck, bespake them thus. I thank you, countrymen. And thus still doing, thus he passed along. As in a theatre, the eyes of men, after a well-graced actor leaves the stage, idly bent on him that enters next, thinking his prattle to be tedious. Even so, or with much more contempt, men's eyes did scowl on gentle Richard. No man cried, God save him, no joyful tongue gave him his welcome home, but dust was thrown upon his sacred head, which with such gentle sorrow he shook off, his face still combating with tears and smiles the badges of his grief and patience. That had not God, for some strong purpose, steel the hearts of men, they must perforce have melted, and barbarism itself have pitied him. But heaven hath a hand in these events. To Bolingbroke are we sworn subjects now, whose state and honour I, for I, allow.
Didst thou not mark King Henry with words he spake? Have I no friend will rid me of this living fear? Was it not so?
These were his very words.
Have I no friend, quoth he. He spake it twice, and urged it twice together, did he not?
He did.
And speaking it, he richly looked on me, as who should say, I would thou wert the man that would divorce this terror from my heart. Meaning the king at Pomfret. Come, let's go. I am the king's friend, and will rid his foe.
I have been studying how I may compare this prison where I live unto the world. And for because the world is populous, and here is not a creature but myself, I cannot do it. Yet I'll hammer it out. My brain shall prove the female to my soul the father, and these two beget a generation of still breeding thoughts. And these same thoughts people this little world. In humours like the people of the world, for no thought is contented. The better sort has thoughts of things divine, are intimate with scruples that do set the word itself against the word, as thus, come! And then again, it is as hard to come as for a camel to thread the postern of a small needle's eye. Thoughts tending to ambition, they do plot unlikely wonders. How these vain weak nails may tear a passage through the flinty ribs of this hard world, my ragged prison walls, for they cannot die with their own pride. Thoughts tending to content, flatter themselves that they are not the first of fortune's slaves, nor shall not be the last, like silly beggars who, sitting in the stocks, refuge their shame that many have and others must sit there. And in this thought they find a kind of ease, bearing their own misfortunes on the backs of such as have before endured the like. Thus play I in one person many people, and none content. Sometimes I am a king, and treason makes me wish myself a beggar, and so I am. And then crushing penury persuades me I was better when a king. Then am I kinged again, and by think myself unkinged by Bolingbroke. But whate'er I be, nor I, nor any man that but man is, with nothing shall be pleased till he be eased with being nothing. Music do I hear? I keep time. How sour sweet music is when time is broken, no proportion kept. So is it with the music of men's lives. And here have I the daintiness of ear to check time broke in a disordered pipe. But for the concord of my state and time had not an ear to hear my true time broke. I wasted time, and now does time waste me, for now hath time made me his numbering clock. My thoughts are minutes, and with sighs they jar their watch on unto mine eye, the outward watch, whereto my finger like a dial's point is pointing still and cleansing them from tears. Now, sir, the sound that tells what hour it is are clamorous groans that strike upon my heart, which is the bell. So sighs and tears and groans are minutes, times, and hours. But my time runs boasting on in Bolingbroke's proud joy, while I stand fooling here his jack of the clock. Oh, this music burns me! Let it sound no more! Although it hath holp madmen to their wits, in me it seems it will make wise men mad. Yet blessings on his heart that gives it to me. What is the sign of love? And love to Richard is a strange brooch in this all-hating world.
Hail, royal prince.
Thanks, noble peer. Cheapest of us is 10 groats too dear. What art thou? And how comest thou hither, where no man never comes but that sad dog that brings me food to make misfortune live?
I was a poor groom of thy stable, king, when thou wert king, who, travelling towards York with much ado at length, have gotten leave to look upon my sometimes royal master's face. Oh, how it earned my heart when I beheld in London streets that coronation day, when Bolingbroke rode on Roan Barbary, that horse that thou so often hast bestrid, that horse that I so carefully have dressed.
Rode he on Barbary? Oh, tell me, gentle friend, how went he unto him?
So proudly
as if he disdained the ground.
So proud that Bolingbroke was on his back. That jade hath eat bread from this royal hand. This hand hath made him proud with clapping him. Would he not stumble? Could he not fall down? Since pride must have a fall, and break the neck of that proud man that did usurp his back. Forgiveness, horse. Why do I rail on thee? For thou, created to be awed by man, wast born to bear. I was not made a horse, and I wear a burden like an ass, spurred and galled and tired by jouncing Bolingbroke.
Fellow, give place. Here is no longer stay.
If thou love me, 'tis time thou wert away.
What my tongue dares not, that my heart shall say.
My lord, will it please you to fall to?
Taste of it first, as thou art wont to do.
My lord, I dare not. Sir Piers of Exton, who lately came from the king, commands the contrary.
A devil take Henry of Lancaster and thee. No! Oh no! What means death in this rude assault? That hand shall burn in never quenching fire that staggers thus my person. Exton, thy fierce hand, as with the king's blood, stained the king's own land. Mount, my soul, thy seat is upon high, whilst my gross flesh sinks downward, here to die.
It's full of valor as of royal blood. Both have I spilt. Oh, the deed were good. For now the devil that told me I did well says that this deed is chronicled in hell. This dead king to the living king I'll bear. I'll take hence the other and give him burial here. Great king, within this coffin I present thy buried fear.
Herein all breathless lies the mightiest of thy greatest enemies, Richard of Bordeaux, by me hither brought.
Exton, I thank thee not, for thou hast wrought a deed of slander with thy fatal hand upon my head and all this famous land.
From your own mouth, my lord, did I this deed.
They love not poison that do poison need, nor do I thee. Though I did wish him dead, I hate the murderer. Love him murdered. The guilt of conscience take thou for thy labour, but neither my good word nor princely favour. With Cain, go wander thorough shades of night, and never show thy head by day nor light. Lords, I protest, my soul is full of woe, that blood should sprinkle me to make me grow. Come, mourn with me for what I do lament, and put on bloodless white incontinent. I'll make a voyage to the Holy Land,
to wash this blood off from my guilty hand. But sadly after, grace my mornings here in weeping after this untimely bier.